Now that we've mastered the building of layouts, we're going to do some advanced working with images, which will lead us to being able to create a reasonably complicated game, Connect 3, which we'll do in a couple of videos' time. For now, though, we're going to learn about fading animations. So let's create a new project. And we're going to do something fairly simple here. We're going to create an app with an image of Bart Simpson in, and when the image is tapped, we're going to morph him into Homer Simpson. So let's just jump over to Wikipedia, which is where I'm going to get my images from. Here we go. So I'm going to control click, save image to downloads. And it's nicely 200 pixels, so that's a nice small size. And then we'll do the same for Homer. Just check that I downloaded that one. Yep, there we go. So there's our two images. So let's start by bringing them into our app. Again, on Windows, you can just drag straight in, but on Mac, I need to use Command-C to copy, and then in the drawable folder, Command-V pastes them in. There we go. So now over in our layout, let's create our image view. I'll use the search to find it. There we go. And I'll just get rid of the text view as we don't need that. And bring in our image view, which is initially going to have the image of Bart Simpson. And we might as well make this full screen. So I'll drag it to the edge and then add in constraints. We'll have 0 everywhere. There we go, and at the same time I'll match. There we go, and I'll add the scale type to fit start. Now you might be wondering how we're going to get the fade to happen when the image is tapped. Well, if you view all attributes for the image view and scroll down to O, you'll see that we have an on-click attribute, meaning that we can treat an image much like a button and run a method when the button is clicked. So let's call the fade method, which I'm about to write, when Bart is clicked. Okay, that'll do for setup. I'll just run the app in the background while I'm writing some code. Now it's been a while since we've done this, so hopefully still reasonably fresh in your mind. Let's create a public method which doesn't return anything, so it's void. It's called fade. It's still going to be called by a view, just in this case the view is going to be an image view rather than a button. And initially let's just do a quick log to confirm that the image view has been tapped. And then run it again. You can see we've got an error here, which is new to Android Studio 3, that resource names must only contain lowercase letters, numbers, or underscores. So that's definitely worth remembering. Let's quickly rename our files. So we'll have Homer and Bart. And then we'll copy those in. In the usual way. Get rid of Homer and Bart, so I just control click there or right click on Windows and delete. Yep, we know that it's in use. That's fine because we can go back to our image view and update the image to our new Bart. All right. So if you're coming from an earlier version of Android Studio that doesn't have that file name restriction, then just be aware that you're going to need to rename your files to only contain lowercase letters, numbers, and underscores. And here we go. There's our Bart. Let's tap him and have a quick look in the logs. And there we go. Image view tapped. So everything's connected up nicely. So let's see how we fade Bart out. So as you might guess, we initially have to get the image view. We'll do that by creating a variable called image view. We only have one image view, so just calling it image view is fine. And we'll get it using find view by ID, resources.id.image view. And we'll need to cast that to an image view. And then initially we'll just do a simple fade out. And we do that using image view dot animate. That's what we're going to be using for all of our animations. And we're going to animate, you can see we've got a lot of different options for animating here. Scaling, translating, that's moving or rotating. But we're going to animate the alpha, which if you remember from a couple of sections back, decides how solid the picture appears. So if we animate the alpha to 0, then that will fade it out completely. We want that to happen over a certain period of time. So we'll set the duration, and this is a number of milliseconds. Let's do it over 2 seconds. So that's 2000 milliseconds. All right, let's have a look. I'm going to use the lightning button this time, which reloads as quickly as possible. We just made simple changes to your code. So you can try using that. And then if we tap, you can see, there we go, magically disappears. Fantastic. So you can experiment a little bit with that, changing the alpha value and the duration to see how that affects the animation. But we're going to move straight to animating from one to the other. So from Bart to Homer. Several different ways you can do this, but the simplest is to bring in a second image view. In fact, rather than drag it in, which we could do, we'll do that using the text view and then just copying and pasting the image view code. Of course, we'll need to have different IDs. So we'll call them Bart image view and Homer image view. And then we can change the src, that is the source of the Homer image view, to Homer, but we want to set the alpha for the Homer image view to 0, so it's not visible initially. There we go. So now we need to change this to Bart image view. And I'll change here as well. And we need to bring in our Homer image view. So let's create another image view. Just the same as before. Find view by ID, r.id. Homer image view. And then you can probably imagine what we're going to do here to fade in the Homer image view. We'll use Homer image view dot animate, and this time we want to change the alpha to 1. and we'll do it over the same duration, 2 seconds. All right, hope that makes sense. So we're fading out the Bart image view and we're fading in the Homer image view. Let's take a look. All right, so let's tap on Bart and there we go. Wonderful. So you've got the idea. A little challenge for you then to finish this off. And you make it so that when we tap on Homer, it goes back to Bart. So instead of just fading from Bart to Homer, it goes back from Bart to Homer to Bart to Homer every time you tap. Lots of different ways you can do that, so try and be creative. I'll show you my solution when you've had a go. Best of luck, go for it. So I hope you managed that. As I said, lots of different ways to do it, but I'm going to do it using a flag to track which image is displayed at any given time. So let's set up a Boolean. And I'll call it Bart is showing. And initially, that's going to be equal to true. So then, once we've got the two image views, we want to check to see if Bart is showing. Then we fade out Bart and fade in Homer. Else, we're going to do the opposite. Fade in Bart, fade out Homer. Of course, we need to update the Bart is showing Boolean each time. So if Bart is showing, we now want to change Bart is showing to false because we've faded him out. Otherwise, we've faded him back in. So we'll set Bart is showing back to true. Notice I've created the variable up here, so it will be remembered as long as the app is open. If you create it in the fade method, it will be forgotten when the method ends. It'll be no good for keeping track of which image is being displayed. All right, let's take a look, see if it works. So here we go, tapping on Bart morphs us into Homer. Tapping on Homer morphs us back into Bart. Excellent. So whether you did that or used a different method, well done. In the next video, we're now going to take this further and extend into all sorts of other different types of animations.